Good afternoon or good evening, everyone, wherever you stand. Thank you for joining us today. My name is Heather Avant. I am a sickle cell warrior as well as the co-chair of the Sickle Cell Mental Health and Wellness Initiative. Thank you all for joining us this evening. We are so excited to be here with you today and our special guest. We are looking forward to having a very riveting and intense and diving deep conversation on grief. And we're going to really enjoy our conversation with Dr. Hunt is here with us today. And if we could there goes our very own Dr. Dejoie Brewer. So I will let her take over. Dr. Dejoie, I was just introducing the team.
Hello, everyone. Sorry about the technical issues. Hope everyone is having a good day. Thank you for that intro, Heather, and pulling everyone in. And hello to our audience and everyone who's joined us on this wonderful Sunday afternoon, evening, morning, if you're international, somewhere within the day, the 24-hour period. So we're going to jump right in, everyone. Sorry, my background looks a little different, and this is very weird for me. I like being in my space, but we're going to get settled and get grounded. We're going to start with a mindfulness moment. And then after a mindfulness moment, I'll let the team introduce themselves. And after the team introduce themselves, we'll go right into our speaker and open it up for conversation. And our intern will give some brief highlights on the wonderful things that Dr. Hunt has been doing, is doing, and will continue to do in the future. And we hope to continue to partner with her along our journey of wellness, healing, and beyond. So with that, find a comfortable seat, whether you be sitting on the floor, laying on a mat, sitting on a sofa, or in a chair, like I am today. And we're going to start with a moment of mindfulness centered around kindness to self. So maybe for the first time today, start to focus on your breath. Maybe if you feel like it, put a hand on either your chest or your belly to feel the gentle rise and fall. As you settle in and get grounded, start to soften. Soften through your body, soften through your face, your eyes, your jaw, your forehead. And then I will slowly invite you to bring your eyes to a close. If you don't feel safe or comfortable with your eyes completely closed, I invite you to at least look down to the floor so that you can take out the external stimuli and bring your attention internally. And with those adjustments, already feel how you're shifting. And in that shift, you're actually being kind to yourself. You're allowing yourself to just be in this moment. And now bring your attention to your breath. The gentle inhale, the pause, the exhale, and the pause. Maybe visualize the water rising into a wave. As you inhale, see the peak of that wave. And as you slowly exhale, see that wave crash and flatten out. There are so many amazing visuals that you could focus on. Maybe just see your lungs expand and fill up. Then see them empty. Or focus on the warmth of the breath coming in through your nostrils, the coolness, and then the warmth of it emptying out onto the top of your lip. Whatever focus works for you, use it. As you shift into a slower, natural, calming, intentional breath. And thoughts may come and go, and that's okay. As long as you remember to come back to your breath. And as you take that next breath, fill up, fill up, fill up with kindness for self. By taking this moment right here, you're already starting to be kind for yourself or adding to the kindness of the day. But so many times we're so caught up in what we do, we forget that kindness starts with us. Kindness nurtures us. Kindness fills us with a feeling of being healed and covers us with a grace that nothing else can. Feel that kindness fill your heart with every inhalation. And with every exhalation, sense it cover your skin and your body. And if you're having a difficult time with the concept of kindness, what I'd like you to do is visualize a younger version of yourself. What would you do to that younger version of yourself, or say to that younger version of yourself, or give to that younger version of yourself in the form of kindness? Come back to your breath. Come back to the gentle inhalation, the pause, the exhalation, and the pause. What have you done for yourself today in the form of kindness? With every breath, fill yourself with your own kindness. Let's begin to take a couple of deeper breaths here, maybe sitting up a little taller. If you softened, shoulders maybe a little further back, neck is long. Feel your belly, your ribs, and your chest rise. And feel them fall. And on your next breath, begin to bring your palms to heart center, either thumb knuckles to chest or hands on heart. And gently bow in acknowledgement of the time that you put aside for yourself today. A moment to be kind to yourself because you are so deserving. And knowing that kindness starts with self allows us to go out and share kindness with others. Take another deep breath in, holding space for all the warriors who could not be with us this evening, and sending love and kindness out to our community. So thankful that all of you are here with us this evening. Gently allow your hands to fall, open up your eyes, maybe take a couple of tilts if you need to. Just feel how different your body is. A couple of minutes of mindfulness can be so powerful. Now is ready for tonight. Team, I know Heather said hi. The rest of the team, if you want to just say hello to the audience before we jump in. Dr. Rowley, you want to kick it off? Then Dima, then Aminosi, and Aminosi, you can introduce Felicia very quickly.
Hey there, hi there, ho there, everyone. We are really glad that you're here. My name is Dr. Carolyn Rowley from Cayenne Wellness Center, and it's an honor, pleasure, quite thankful to reserve this space to be here and for you all to join us. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us. My name is Dima Hendricks. I'm the Sickle Cell Health Coach, and I am also the founder of Through the Pain, Inc. Welcome. I'm so excited to have Dr. Hunt on tonight. Relax and enjoy. I think we lost Aminosi. Is she there? Okay.
So at this time, Dr. Marjorie, did you want to introduce Dr. Felicia right now? At this time?
Actually, we had organized it. Our fearsome intern was going to introduce her. I sent her the bio. So you know what? In the interest of time, let me see if I can pull it up real quickly. I don't know what happened to Aminosi. Looks like she dropped off. Not a problem. Good evening, Facebook user. Your name is not showing, but we're so happy you're here. Dr. Hunt, give me one more second. I hope I find it on the next one. I have it saved.
No problem.
While you're doing that, Dr. Marjorie, I will say to everybody that's here, that everybody that's on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Twitter, or LinkedIn, please make sure you are sharing this live each and every week. We are coming in to ensure that you are starting your week with the community. And this week, we are talking about grief, loss, and lost. There's two different kinds. So we'll be talking about that. But I did want to let everybody know to please share this live and come back on Wednesday when we'll do a refresher on the mental health and wellness actual page. So please make sure you are engaging and let us know what you guys want us to talk about. What are the type of topics you want? We have a set schedule, and of course, we are going to go ahead and go with the things that our leadership team has already picked out. But if there's something that you want the leadership team to talk about, the mental health and wellness team to really attack and be a part of and have a conversation, please let them know. They are great women. Oh my goodness. And they love this community. And I enjoy being a part of this team. So I just want to let everybody know that you are much as a part of this team as we are. And so please make sure that you are giving us that feedback and information.
Thank you so much, Sharonda. I actually have it up. So let me tell you a little bit about this amazing Dr. Felicia M. Hunt, and then I'm just going to say some highlights and let her take over. She got her MA and is an alum from Pfizer College, where she earned her Bachelor of Arts degree in Psychology and African Studies. She earned her Master's of Arts and degree from Pacific Oaks College, in Pasadena, where she majored in marriage and family therapy with a specialty in African American family services. She is currently a student in the Chicago School of Professional Psychology in the MFT Doctoral Psych D program. Ms. Hunt's holistic approach is grounded in human development, cognitive behavior therapy, trauma, post-traumatic slave syndrome, brief post psychodynamics, and narrative therapy. Oh, I love me some narrative therapy. And as a counselor, she believes in motivating her clients to recognize their resilience and find their strengths at a time when adversities, seem unbearable. That resonates so much with me and probably our entire community that I'm going to end it there because I could keep going, you guys. She's amazing. And I'm going to pass it to Dr. Hunt. We're so happy to have you.
Yes, thank you. Thank you. Thank you for having me. I'm going to start off with this quote. It says, everything that you know, if you don't understand white supremacy, everything you think you know will only confuse you. That was Frances Quest Welsing. And I want to thank you, the consortium, and all of you for inviting me here today to speak. I'm coming from a Black psychologist perspective today about loss, longing, and feeling lost. That's the talk today. And so I want you to understand that in the Black psychology, they ask us to Sankofa, is this term called Sankofa, which means turn and fetch it. So if you turn and fetch your history to know where you come from, you can understand where you are going. And so with that ideal in mind, when we think about loss, and the loss that I want to be clear that I'm talking about is loss of self as a result of getting a diagnosis from sickle cell disease. There is a loss that the community feel in terms of how to identify themselves and navigate themselves in the world dealing with sickle cell disease. Also, what comes along with that is a longing to be, do, and feel in one person how they feel that they can do, and sometimes have to mourn the loss of not having that ability to do that, and may have to modify some things and do it a little bit differently. So that's why I like the term differently abled. So we may be able to do some things, but differently. And then the feelings is getting in touch with what your body is telling you, how you feel in your body when you think about a certain thing, that feeling lost. When you're feeling lost, you feel it in your body. And I want you to imagine that, right? And so I'm gonna give a scenario that most often happen with persons with sickle cell disease to deal with loss, longing, and feeling lost. So most of us have heard many stories about when you first get diagnosed with sickle cell disease, there is this conversation that goes on in the doctor's office that they explain to you if you're a minor when you find out and you're with your parents, and they'll tell you about, how sickle cell works and the painful episodes that the child will endure and endeavor throughout life. And then they also sometimes spring in this conversation of, but most sickle cell patients don't live past the age of 18 or 21 or some age like that. And I know all of you who experience this know exactly in that moment when you're adolescent and you're hearing that information, it can be very scary, you're right. And what it caused or what happens to the psyche of that child from then on, hearing that news. So, children talk to their parents. The parent try to explain as much as they can, especially if it's something new to the family dynamic. Most parents don't understand. So all of the family dynamic, including that child, now are feeling some kind of way from this message of dying. We all know it's a reality of life where, any one of us will potentially leave this body. But for someone to tell you and put a number on your life, that causes a certain function in the brain. And so with that, we have to understand that how things are constructed when you have a disease that is primarily diagnosed amongst Black and brown people, and then the disparities that are out there in knowledge and research and treatment towards the Black and brown bodies have us at such a disadvantage. All of these things we begin to learn as we deal with our disease or whatever diagnosis you may be going through, but specifically here we're talking about sickle cell disease. These things impact our lives, the way we think, the way we behave, and and the way that we feel. So as you think, you feel it, you behave it. And so today, I just want us to understand that you're not crazy. Like if you feel lost, you're not crazy, if you're longing for something and not quite sure how you can make that next step to do it, right? So because there are all these ideologies out there that may already persist before you even come into the platform that says this is what you have, this is what it does to you, and then then this is what you might not have much time to have a fulfilling life. It's already these things that are set up, and you may feel differently in your body, not quite understanding, but somehow start to prescribe to that. And that's when this longing and this loss start to creep in, and you want to reach out, but you don't know how or who, because maybe your family members don't know much about how to help you deal with that. And so as you mature and develop and become into your teenage life or even your young adult life, you are left with these questions about my life. When is my turn? Is it my turn now? You go through these crises episodes and you say, is this it? You might be doubting, you might be fearing, but these are all natural responses to being told your life expectancy can be cut short. But we can all reframe that through therapy, through coaching or whatever, finding the help to find out how to reframe those thoughts and put things in perspective so that you can live a more abundant and prosperous life. We don't have to be placed into these stereotypes about what statistics says about sickle cell disease, how to treat it, what is best for you. What we can do is begin to bridge the gap between our physicians when those kinds of things come up and are placed on us, and we can really advocate for ourselves and begin a dialogue to say, ask the question about where is that particular doctor getting their information? Why did they feel it was important to stress that in terms of saying, the life expectancy, because we do want to know everything about our health. But sometimes it's just the way that things are presented can be more scarier than others. And it can place on us this hardship about our place in life and how to feel comfortable in your skin to live a fulfilling life. And so with that being said, it's like you have to begin to internalize in a way that you have to think from a more positive perspective, right? If you broaden out your thought to think about how life is, death is a part of life. And so therefore, you don't have to think in terms of, because this was said to me, every single moment I have to be living in a heightened state about, is it my turn? No, you don't have to live in that state. You can calm yourself down, like we did the beautiful meditation today to get started, and just really begin to reflect on your life and really think about who you are and all the things that you would like to achieve and make a plan for that. So grief have 5 stages, and they can show up at any time. 5 stages of grief can show up at any time, and not just for persons who died, like if you really know somebody who died, family member or somebody who have passed away having sickle cell disease, this is in the context of some part of you that you feel have died, that you may feel like you cannot get back, right? We have the stages of mourning that, like we go through frustration, we go through bargaining, why me? We go through talking it out with other people, like to get more information. Am I on the right track? We also then get to a point where we kind of reconcile with ourselves and come into this thing of acceptance about it. And then that cycle can start all over again. And that's the part I want you to know, that you are not crazy every time it comes around. You go through this cycle because you are actually getting in touch with what is going on with you. And as a human being, your body is naturally responding to this loss, to this feeling of being lost. It's a natural response. And sometimes we don't allow ourselves just to be natural and human, to feel in our bodies what's going on and allowing it to happen and process to get to the other side. Sometimes we tell, I shouldn't be feeling this way, or, I'm strong. And no, it's like you are a human being, and a human being have experiences that triggers the body, and the body reacts, and it also trigger our mind, and we have things to say about it. We might not have the best thing to say, but we have these thoughts that goes on that can contribute to how we're feeling, and then that emotion to follow, that behavior to follow. And if this is a persistent thing, and you pray, you go to church, you talk to friends and family, if that's not enough, then that's when I recommend you seeking your own personal counsel or therapy. And so with this, I just want to let everyone know that there's also another thing called shadow loss. Now, shadow loss specifically deals with life, right? How you see your shadow self in life. And I just want to take a moment real quick to read exactly what that is. Now, this was created, shadow loss is not a psychological diagnosis. This was created by Cole Imper, I-M-P-E-R, okay? And it is a psychological tool that was developed by this American thanatologist, which is Thanatologes. Never heard of it. But anyway, it is a type of loss that has a multifaceted impact on not only the life of an individual, but also the social network in the person's life. Shadow losses may or may not be associated with a death, and are most often not. Shadow losses impact a person's social connection, status in the community, overall well-being, and family relationship. Shadow loss is a non-clinical term. It is not a diagnostic tool. Instead, shadow loss is a term an individual may choose to use to better describe the impact of a particular loss experience. So this is what I chose to look up, because it seems like it really was befitting for this conversation, that you could be, any one of us could be experiencing some sort of shadow loss, which is connected socially or statusly. So when we're out in our communities, or when we're hanging out with our friends, or when we with our families, and we just sometimes have to say, no, I have to stop here. I can't do that. Or we have to mourn that loss of longing that I know my family wants me to participate more, but my body is telling me, no, I need to rest. I don't have the energy. I can't do it. And so to normalize it here in this space, that it is okay. It is okay to be in certain social positions, to be able to speak your truth and not feel like you're othered, right? Like you're something different. No, you're doing things differently able. You are extending yourself to the point of what you can do. And that's where the normalization coming in, where you should be able to embrace that for yourself and know that, this is okay. This is how I have to operate. We need to normalize that even more, to know that this is how we operate, or this is how I have to operate in certain situations. So you're not crazy. That this is something, that is true. This is something that you're feeling. This is something that you are actually experiencing. So I wanted to make sure that was clear. And the other thing is about the construct of the medical field, right? We cannot always blame the physicians. Seem like I got something on my chin. Like, we can't always blame the physicians. What they're taught is real little about sickle cell. They are continuously looking and researching to find out more. Some of the statistics on sickle cell is some of the same old data, and we need more data to date. And so to help bridge that gap, hopefully we can begin to open up ourselves to have conversations in the room with the doctors, to understand that maybe some of the perspective that they have is old and outdated. And when they give this type of information, that could cause us to begin to feel lost in the world, because it makes us feel so different. Maybe we can have better conversations around how to talk to people when you're first diagnosing them with sickle cell. And then if you're dealing with patients who have sickle cell and been in it and know it and are educated, find new ways and new narratives to conversate around it that don't feel so oppressive and don't make us feel so separate from the world and so different from the world, that we then internalize and begin to feel this future loss of self. Like, what am I going to do with myself? Like, what kind of quality of life am I going to have? And am I worthy to be loved? Will I get married? Will I have children? All these things, that, cause us to think that maybe we cannot have, because the life expectancy is quote unquote supposed to be short. But many of us have already dispelled that. There's a lot of us living well into our 70s and 80s. So we can look forward to a full life as long as we stay in community and remain positive, and remember to just keep putting one foot in front of the other, and you are not alone. And so that's what I want to express today, and to let you know that you have to understand the history of the medical field. You also have to understand your own history. So doing that Sankofa, looking back, doing research to pull yourself up to today so you'll know where you're headed. So that's me, Felicia Hunt, on loss, longing, and feeling lost. If there's any questions or any comments, I'll gladly take them now.
Felicia, thank you. Thank you for that. Oh my goodness, so many thoughts. My head was pinging. My heart was pitter-pattering. I love how you shared the shadow lost. I think that is a term, and again, specifically everyone for your clarification, it is just a term used to describe a state. It's not an exact diagnosis, but as Felicia referenced, she felt that that really encompassed what we as warriors and as a community go through. That loss of the self that you referred to in the first part was also very deep. And then the communicating with the team and how we can go about doing that. And that I love how you said kind of do our own work, right? Our own Salcopa, bring our own story forwards. And that, to prepare for this month, to share with everyone in the audience, in the community, I was reading this book that said, it's okay to not be okay. It is okay to be exactly where you are, and that there is absolutely nothing wrong with that. I think what falls upon us is to look into ourselves, see our today and our history and what has kind of brought us to today, and then try to heal from that and moving forwards. And I know that there are a lot of warriors that are stuck in or feel themselves between those levels. And I loved how you so appropriately said that you're going to go through that cycle. You went through the stages of grief. And I do think that many times it doesn't take a month. It doesn't take a week. For some people, it takes a year. For some people, it takes longer. But that acknowledgement that as long as you put one foot in front of the other, you will find your next best step. Team, I see that somebody has unmuted. Did you want to make a comment?
I do. Heart to Heart with Heather B. I wanted to read that. It says, thank you. I wrote about that exact grief process in my upcoming book. I wrote my life story. I dealt with the grief of having sickle cell anemia. When I got AVN, or avascular necrosis, a new grief process began. And with each subsequent diagnosis, the grief cycle starts all over again. So diseases, loss of employment, loss of mobility, and the cycle goes on. And I did put examples of shadow loss as Dr. Felicia was speaking as well. So very appropriate. And of course, I think all the things that we do here are always so right on time. So thank you, Heart to Heart with Heather B.
Yes.
I see another comment. Do you want to take that one? Also, Dr. Rowley, you don't want me to read that one?
Oh, yes, sorry. And Ayula mentioned, thanks for validating her experience with feeling lost. Society and many times family can push us to long for things we are not comfortable with. She says, especially with being confused as a warrior, we have to navigate life with learning through a lot of mistakes and transformations. Death doesn't have to follow us everywhere we go. And I say, amen. It actually doesn't follow us everywhere you go.
Correct.
And I think if you choose, no, I won't say choose. When you are granted the breath of life in the morning, you actually you can choose at that moment, I'm going to live today and make that choice. And I think it's helpful to live that choice by being mindful. But it is a choice once you're granted that beautiful miracle of life. It is a choice from that point on.
It is. And I hope I made that like a overwhelming emphasis that is the goal. Like, you have the power. Don't let a doctor tell you when your time is up, and be concerned with that. Nobody knows with the hairs on our head. Nobody knows when our day is, that final end for us. That's nothing to be concerned with. I think the most important thing to be concerned with is, who are you as a person, and how do you want to live your life? What are the desires that you want in your life to show up for you? And you have that option for yourself if only you allow yourself to move past what I feel may have been placed on you through some dialogue of information that you were probably researching to know how to better take care of yourself. And then all of a sudden you made to feel othered. But this is where you have to learn how to separate yourself from what a projection is versus who you really are. Because people can project onto you through their talk, even though they feel like they're helping you. Sometimes that's called unconscious bias. They're not totally conscious of what they're saying to you, even though they feel like in their position of power, like being a physician or a nurse or whatever, a caretaker, physician assistant, things of that nature, they could be really, educated or informed about what they're saying, but not yet have the ability to normalize it and put it across to with feelings, because most of these positions, they are taught not to connect in that way. And so it can be, to them, they're giving you education, but to you is making you feel a certain way. And I want you to understand that what you are feeling is real. However, everything you feel is not yours to carry.
I love that point. I'd like to there are two things that you mentioned that I'd like you to speak to. I'll start with the one, and then I'll see if anyone else has comments. And again, audience, if you're listening or tuned in, feel free to put comments in the box, ask questions if you'd like to. But this was kind of referenced in the comments that you made, and also one comment that was given from the audience. And it's the sometimes unintended impact that family and their actions tend to have on us as warriors. I think that's it's a big category, and it comes up a lot. So I think it deserves a little attention. And I'll set the stage by saying many times, and again, you referenced some of this, our willingness or need to be there with family and wanting to connect. And, what the regular population, for us, I'm going to call it shadow loss. For the regular population is FOMO. Like for me, myself, there's so many events already in this year that I've missed. I have not seen my family for the new year yet because I've been so sick and unable to travel. And though I know they would never want me to sacrifice myself, sometimes it feels like within their comments when they talk to me, there's still that, why haven't we seen you yet? And I want to say, but you do know that I've been sick every 2 weeks and then only 4 days okay, and then every 2 weeks. So it weighs on me. I try to say, I know they get it and they want the best for me, but I can hear that, how come we haven't seen you yet? So then I battle with the individual that is, I think I'm making the best decision for myself because I don't want to be more ill when I get there. But I'm also battling with, am I not being a good daughter? Because I have not. Right. And also I feel lost because I need them. I need to see them and be around them. But none of that seems to happen. All I seem to feel like is stuck. Can you speak to some of that dichotomy for our audience? That would be awesome.
I sure can. So Dr. Maya Angelou said, when someone show you who they are, believe them, right? And so what's going on here with your family members is that you haven't believed them who they show you they are. They do really have that question mark behind their eyes on top of their brain. They don't understand. And so you have to understand that they really don't get it. They see you, they picture you, they have a different perspective of you than you. Okay. And you have to accept that. And so once you accept that, you can then now navigate in your life how you need to be, because now you're being responsible for yourself. So when you say, hey, I've been sick, don't you know this? It's no longer of looking for validation or confirmation from them to show that they understand. It's just a fact. Because when you embrace your responsibility for yourself, you now can allow space for your family members to behave, react, respond however they need to, because that's a they thing, not a me thing. It's not your issue that they don't understand. It's their issue. And so if they want to truly understand, then it has to be this dialogue to understand, because what they see, you're here, Dr. Marjorie, tonight on this call, right? But you couldn't attend. You see, they don't understand that when you were sick, you couldn't attend a family event, but when you have something else to do, you might be showing up for there. And so they might be feeling some kind of way and don't understand that when you are well, you have to prioritize your life and your day and stay committed to the things that you were designed to do in your life, to have a livelihood, to keep you going and everything like that. So lines get crossed. Family members don't understand, and can feel some type of way. And so those conversations, when they're ready to understand and when you're ready to let them go and not want their validation of you, you will begin to have more peace in your life. So that's what we have to do, because we want to so please our families and our friends. We don't want to disappoint. And as feminine beings, that is just one of our qualities. It's like, we just take on the world. But in health and taking care of ourselves first, we have to understand and be clear about who we are and how we do things, especially when you have, a disease assigned to you that you have to live with every day.
Thank you for that. Team, does anyone else have any questions or comments?
I have a comment. I'm loving where this conversation is going, because we enter into the realm of boundaries, making sure that, yes, we want to be there for others, and we want to be there for our family and do what is expected of us. But I really believe that after reading this book called Real Self-Care, I really do believe that we need to show up more for ourselves. And doing things like this, making time for the breath work, making time to just sit down and relax and be in our own space, in our own zone. Yes, it may irritate or sometimes my son may say, hey, why don't you have time for me to do this A, B, and C? Or my husband may, I want a little bit of quality time. But if I cannot show up for myself, I cannot show up for my loved ones as well. So, yeah.
Yeah, that is the truth. And it's like you only can give what you know, right? And we sometimes try to give things that we don't know, and we fail miserably because we're doing it as a people pleaser, or we're doing it as some sort of way to keep things from exploding, or whatever the pressure we put on ourselves, and not allowing ourselves just to be human. We turn into these other things, and we can put all kind of titles on, Superwoman, whatever. We just take on all of these roles and start to try and save everyone else, but we don't take the time out to give ourselves what we really need, and that is the healing to begin within, inside ourselves, and being able to find a voice to express it with love and with kindness. And because we never know how someone is going to take it. Like when you really stand up for yourself for the first time with your family members, I guarantee you it's not going to go well, because they don't know that person. They know the person who always give in or find a way to make a way or whatever. But when you truly start to live in your truth, and you see your truth as your reality, and you're able to share it, it may be a little rocky, but it feels so good inside. It feels so good inside when you take that step to recognize that I don't know longer have to mourn the loss of my identity. I don't have to mourn the loss of my future. Like, I can create it, I can plan for it, and make it happen. And this is how I'm going to do it. And this is how I need your support. If you're there, fine. If not, I am good. And we just that's the reality. You have to come to that.
So I have one more point, because there were two, and I think maybe this will be our last point unless something else comes up. And I always like to, we love to have these conversations, because our goal is to engage the community, provide them education, but also provide them with tools. tools that they can from each session take away and say, I've got this, I'm armed with this, I'm going to try this next. So within our conversation, you really put things into 3 buckets and lanes. The last one you talked about was clearly the caregiver as it relates to the medical team, and that, you know, in training, many times you're taught to not connect. And as a physician, that is very true because of all the trauma and things that you can go through with every single patient. But that doesn't make you a better provider necessarily, right? And the other thing is that, you know, sickle cell disease has always been taught to the medical community on a molecular level as a red blood cell disease. And it doesn't go beyond that. So that when people are seeing you, they're seeing a cell, you know, that's supposedly inside your body and disforming. They're not seeing the biopsychosocial part and the entire circle that is involved in your exact disease process. So if we were to do something with our community of practitioners, what do you think would be maybe 1 or 2 high yield practices or actions that we may be able to do in order to elevate exactly this topic? Because this loss also puts us in a loop that then exacerbates our stress and our pain when we're not well. So it could actually feed the sickle crisis loop in a sense. And one wants to be able to get out of that right away. So how can we as warriors, or how would you suggest, again, these are all personal suggestions, nothing is tried or true here when we're having open discussion, for warriors to try to either help another warrior or connect themselves with their team a little bit better?
Yes. I think for warriors, you have to understand that when you are going to see your doctor, there's 2 things that he or she could possibly be looking at. And that is how to take your situation and find a way to bridge the gap in providing you the best health care. And bridging the gap, that means that provide you with some sort of medication or some sort of modality that you can use to better take care of yourself. And then once you use that, then you should be okay. And then the other thing that needs to be made clear of, instead of finding a modality to bridge the gap, are they prescribing you medications or the treatment plan for the rest of your life plan? So it's 2 things. Are they prescribing or looking at something to bridge the gap, or are they prescribing something for the rest of your life? And it's up to you to understand when you go in what it is you need. You might need at this particular time something to bridge the gap. If they're looking at you as this cell or as this ideal of what sickle cell is, they may not be looking at you through the biopsychosocial, meaning your makeup, you know, how you're feeling and how you live in the world. And sometimes you have to bring that to them, like, I'm active, I do this, I like to do this. You know, when they see the whole picture of who you are and what you're doing, you have to give that to them so that now they can open up more and say, oh, I didn't know that about you. I'll be in the hospital and they'd be like, what are you doing? I'm working, I'm seeing clients. What do you do? You know, when I let them know what I do, then they have a whole different perspective, which sometimes I think it's not like a brownie point. You know what I mean? It's like, it shouldn't take that, you know, that I have something else going on in my life to give me the best practices or the best care, but it helps. And so I think if in terms of that, if we could just go being willing to shed a little bit more about who we are and how we want to take care of ourselves, then maybe together you and your physician can come up with the best treatment plan that is either to bridge a gap or for long-term services. So just coming ready to sit at the seat to be able to say, hey, this is a comprehensive look at me. How can your treatment plan help me reach the goals that I want in my life?
Thank you for that. And that's a great way to wrap the session. And that note is a comprehensive look of who I am and community. That means you've got to be able to, one, take the notes, write it down, because of course, in the moment, you can never remember everything. And that's why we always talk about journaling. That helps and you have to be willing to be vulnerable.
Yes.
And also, I think what Felicia, mentioned is that they don't know what they don't know.
You're right.
They don't know. So as the individual that knows, yes, that does mean that more of the weight falls on our shoulders. But if there's anything, this is for me, now this is personal, if there's anything that I can bring to the table that will improve my healthcare and how I do long-term, then I will take on that challenge and bring it to the table. And everybody's going to be different. So if there's a way that we then as a team can assist you in doing that, because by no means is it easy. I know it's not. And it didn't happen overnight for me, but it has changed how my care is given. So we are here as a team to help everyone in the community do that. But thank you for those tools and tips that people can take away. Thank you for that wonderful, stimulating conversation. As Heather said, you would give us as she opened up. And of course, she was right. And I'm just going to follow in that trend and say thank you so much for that. And we're going to finish with our 3 community breaths on that note, everyone. So go ahead and find that grounding position again. I love it. Everyone's chest went up, shoulders went back. I saw necks, I see smiles. Ooh, I just love it. A mindful moment. Bring your eyes to a close, soften your face. Come back to your breath. Let's take the first deep inhale here. Hold it. Gently exhale here, releasing whatever loss you might have had in the past. Inhale into this present moment. Hold it. Exhale here. In the knowing that you can. Third, deepest breath. Inhale, inhale, inhale. For all those in our community who need a little helping hand to get through this exact type of process. Exhale, exhale, letting them know that we are here for them. Opening your eyes. And with that, everyone, thank you again for another soulful session for our Sunday. Such a pleasure to be with all of you and have you here with us. Remembering that your breath, I got to end with my breath is my superpower, right, y'all? I haven't said it. So your breath is your superpower. Your breath ignites the fire within. Your breath fills you with love and kindness, and your breath brings you closer to your truth. And may our truths cross paths. Sending love out to everyone in our community. Sending you my light and surrounding you with my love. Namaste. Be blessed, everyone. See you next Sunday for another part of our Sunday sessions. Thank you so much, Felicia, for joining us tonight.
Thank you all. Have a good one.